تکه به عرش داده ای به این زمان خیره ای، چقدر آیه سوخته چه روزگار تیره ای. خیره به پس تر شدن، خیره به خیره سر شدن، خیره به حمله بر شدن، خیره به خون جگر شدن. به این همه فراعنه، به بردهداری نوین، به خوردن تن جنین، به این قساوت زمین. مدرسه های بی پناه، دخترکان بی گناه، بیا کمک رسیده ها، سنگ دلان روسیا. دریدگان پر غضب، دهان نجس و بی ادب، مریض و واجب المطب، خاموش تجزیه طلب. پشت به ساحت وطن، در التماس اهرمن، نمیزنی چرا بزن. آه وطن وطن وطن، صبر چگونه می کنی بر این همه جفا علی؟ بغض چگونه می خوری، یاد بده به ما علی. امام اولین، بگو به منجی زمین، تمام دل شکستگان منتظرند بعد از این. میان دشمن و وطن، ننگ بران که شک کند، ننگ بران که خواسته شمر به ما کمک کند. بکش غم کشنده را، مبر زیاد خنده را، فکر نکن چه می شود، خدا بس است بنده را. بکش غم کشنده را، مبر زیاد خنده را، فکر نکن چه می شود، خدا بس است بنده را.
Hello friends, I'm Azra from the International League of People's Struggle. Inqilab Zindabad!
Inqilab Zindabad!
Iran Zindabad!
Iran Inzadab!
Samraj Murdabad!
Samraj Murdabad!
So friends, thank you for joining us. We appreciate the comrades from Iran, especially for joining. We extend our condolences for the martyrdom of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and all those who have been martyred by US Zionist wars of aggression against Iran. Today is Nowruz and Eid in Iran and my country, Pakistan. So first of all, wishing friends Eid Mubarak and Nowruz Mubarak. Even though it is Eid today, but given that the people of Iran and indeed in many parts of the world are in intense struggle for national liberation and sovereignty, we decided to celebrate Eid and Nowruz by holding this rally as a salute to the militant posture of the people of Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine, struggling against US imperialism.
Thank you so much, Azra, for this intro. Hello, everyone. I'm Victor with the Resist US-Led War movement. And before we actually go into the program, just wanted to give you a few reminders about interpretation before we can start. So the online rally today will be held in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. It's great that we have so many people and struggles represented here, and we can make that accessible to so many people as well. So everyone should be joining an interpretation channel. You can see the instructions on the screen right now. It will be either through a globe icon or the more, and then you see the globe under the three dots. And like I said before, we'll have simultaneous interpretation into English, Spanish, Portuguese, French. So we're asking everyone to speak slowly, make some pauses after major points so that the interpreters can, yeah, are able to interpret. And also, if you're not the one speaking, to please mute so that we don't interfere with the interpretation and also the program. And yeah, finally, one of the folks to unmute. We everyone to yourself and so um, different
I'm so sorry, Victor.
US and the consequence for that reason. Yes.
Victor, there
Oh,
was
the other.
an internet problem. Can you say that again?
Yes.
Now it's working.
Great. No worries. Was just saying that all the speakers should be here as panelists, so most of the people won't be able to unmute, but we invite everyone to participate via the chat and keep the energy up as well, because as Azra was saying, although many of the speakers and people here are suffering under the boot of US imperialism, militarism, we also want to celebrate people's resistance and are here for that reason as well. And a reminder, the link should be in the chat as well. We are streaming this through Facebook. So invite everyone to share this with their network so they can learn more about the situation on the ground, hear the calls for solidarity, and also build the solidarity movement with West Asia, with Palestine, with Lebanon, and with Iran as well. And again, so grateful for everyone to be here. We have hundreds of people tuning in from all over the world. And one thing wanted to thank the event also made this possible. First, the International League of People Struggles, Resist US-Led War Movement, and then the United National Anti-War Coalition, or UNAC. We'll have brief introductions for those co-hosts now. I'll pass it to Azra to introduce herself again, and then the International League of People Struggles.
Thank you so much, Victor. As I said earlier, I'm Azat Alatsai, the Secretary General for the International League of People's Struggle, one of the biggest anti-fascist, anti-imperialist movements in the world, uniting peasants, workers, all mass movements, progressive movements, especially globally, to fight together against imperialism and all reaction. Victor, pass it to you.
Thank you so much, Azra. Yeah, like I said before, I'm Victor. I'm with the Resist US-led War Movement Global Secretariat. We are a global network of anti-war and pro-peace organizations that unites under 2 points of unity, one being to resist US-led war, and that includes not only the bombs and troops on the ground, but also sanctions and all other forms of warfare that the US enacts on the people of the world. And second one, to build just peace, a peace that is not only the absence of war, but that is also a peace with justice that includes the right to self-determination and that is fought for by the people and not granted by the oppressors. And I'll pass it to Joe Lombardo to introduce UNEC.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Lombardo. I'm the coordinator of UNAC, United National Anti-War Coalition, one of the 3 groups that put this together. And as people know, we now have more than 50 groups have endorsed this rally, important rally, and I'd like to welcome everybody who has joined us today. UNAC has a long history of supporting Iran in its resistance to US imperialism and Zionism. Iran has been the foundation of the axis of resistance against Zionism, and that is one of the reasons it's being attacked. Several UNAC leaders have been to Iran a number of times and have been able to cultivate relationships with anti-imperialist activists in Iran, some of whom will be speaking today. In particular, Judy Bellow and Sarah Flounders from our administrative committee have made many trips to Iran. Just to state something that's obvious is that this unprovoked war that the US and Israel are waging on Iran and Lebanon has already changed the world. The US and Israel have been proven to be vulnerable. The Gulf states are no longer safe havens for capital investment and safe supplies of energy. The petrodollar is being destroyed, and Zionism and US imperialism are weakened and will never recover. And according to Iran, this war is just beginning. So thank you again for joining today, and I look forward to working with everybody in the future. Our unity will strengthen us, and we will play a role in making sure that US imperialism and Zionism are defeated in this war. Thanks.
So thank you, everybody, and thank you, our endorsers. We have more than 50 endorsers to this event. So let me start with a short recount of why we are here. Since February 28th, the US and Israel have launched widespread attacks across Iran, with strikes hitting major cities, including but not limited to Tehran, Qum, Isfahan, and killing over 1,200 people. Among the martyred are Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and more than 40 top Iranian officials killed in a joint decapitation strike, along with at least 175 schoolgirls murdered in the bombing of a Minab elementary school. The aggression has since then expanded to Lebanon, where airstrikes and attempts at ground invasion have killed at least 883 people. And similar to the strikes in Iran, they have destroyed civilian infrastructure, including schools, hospitals, and energy plants. In addition, armed settlers in the West Bank, backed by the fascist Zionist Israeli occupation force, are carrying out violent attacks on Palestinians, with thousands displaced once again. This is the largest military buildup in West Asia since 2003, and decades of hybrid warfare on these countries through sanctions and disinformation campaigns as well as the brutal Zionist US genocide of the Palestinian people. The joint onslaught proves once again that the US settler colonial Zionist alliance is the most dangerous and genocidal force in the world. Iran has been targeted specifically because of its assertion of sovereignty and its opposition to US imperialist ambitions in the region. In response to these attacks, Iran launched Operation True Promise 4, grounding dozens of aircrafts and successfully penetrating US and Israeli air defenses. The operation also struck deep into American bases across the region and targeted positions within the Zionist entity. Simultaneously, the axis of resistance in Palestine, Lebanon, and Iraq has escalated its operations across multiple fronts. Adding to the pressure, Iran has restricted access to the Strait of Hormuz, a critical choke point through which 20% of the world's oil passes. This decisive action disrupted the petrodollar system, placed significant strain on the US Gulf allies, and delivered a strategic blow to American imperial interests worldwide. People across the globe have mobilized against the US Zionist attack on Iran, occupying and burning US embassies and consulates, coming out on the streets, and so on. A true show of strength was also on Al-Quds Day on the 16th of March. As the US overextends itself across the globe through sanctions and invasions in Latin America, direct wars of aggression in West Asia, and preparation for war against China in the Asia-Pacific region, the people continue to rise up to defend their land and fight for their liberation. As we mourn all the martyrs killed by US and Israeli wars of aggression, waged in the name of the imperial class, we remain resolute in our fight against the biggest threats to peace and justice in the world today. We call on the people of the world to join us, to stand in solidarity, and to build a future free from domination and for self-determination in this decisive moment, not only for the nation of Iran, but for the whole working people of the world. Let us build the solidarity movement, stand with Iran, stand with all oppressed nations, advance the fight against US imperialism and militarism worldwide, build the mass movements against massacres, killings, and sanctions, shut down US embassies, shut down US military bases. Let people storm the streets, expose the US war crimes at every opportunity. Let us exact accountability against the genocide and war crimes of the fascist US state and apartheid Zionist Israel.
Thank you so much, Azra. That's right. Let's shut down US embassies, US military bases. They do not belong in our lands. And for today, the first portion of the rally will hear from speakers that are at the forefront of US and Israeli aggression. We'll hear from folks in Iran and in Gaza, and they'll speak about the situation on the ground and talk about the resilience of the Iranian and the Palestinian people in the face of the tyranny of US and the Zionist entity. And they will also deliver a call for the solidarity movement as we build and work towards dismantling US militarism and imperialism across multiple fronts. Following that, we'll hear from organizers, aid workers, activists, and veterans, and others who are also engaged in resistance against US militarism and imperialism in North America, in Europe, in Asia, and in Latin America, to highlight the interconnectedness of these struggles against US imperialism around the world and link the fight of the Iranian people, the Palestinian people, the Lebanese people with the fight for national liberation worldwide. Yeah. Because we have so many people and struggles represented here, and that's a great thing, we ask the speakers to keep to their time. We already have requested this, but just reminding so that we're able to hear from everyone. And before we start, just wanted to thank everyone again for being here, and particularly those folks coming from Iran, from Palestine, which are under heavy bombardment for days now, for years, but that are here and so that we can hear from you. I'll pass it to Azra to start introducing our speakers.
Thank you, Victor. Let's start hearing from a wonderful militant list of speakers. The very first is Professor Fawad Izadi. Dr. Fawad Izadi is a professor of communications at Tehran University. The floor is yours, Dr. Fawad.
Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be with you. We need to thank the organizers for holding this rally. It's easy to support Iran or Palestine or Lebanon in Iran. It's not easy to do that in the United States or some of the other countries that we have representation here. So we need your solidarity. The event is very important. International public opinion is very important. I don't want to go through all the calamities that Iran has suffered. Azra was nice enough to cite some of the losses that Iran, Palestine, and Lebanon has witnessed, the number of people who have been killed illegally, children, hospitals attacked. Netanyahu, before starting his genocide in Gaza, called Palestinians Amalek. In their twisted ideology, they get to kill women and children of Amalek people. And at the beginning of Israeli aggression against Iran, he went, about 3 weeks ago, he went to a military base in Israel, occupied Palestine, and he called Iranians Amalek. So we are dealing with very vicious people who like to bomb and kill little Iranian girls, and they like to rape little American girls. We are dealing with the Epstein class. We have witnessed 3 wars in the last 10 months in Iran. One was in June. We are in the middle of the 3rd war. I don't want to focus on the 3rd war. Things, especially for our audience, are quite clear. You don't have to be a progressive to realize what's going on. For those of you who have not read Joseph Kent's resignation letter, a conservative Republican, I encourage you to read it. This was an unnecessary war. Iran was not a threat to the United States. And he highlighted the fact that this is done on behalf of Israel through Israeli lobbies' pressure. So we don't need to explain these things to our audience. I also encourage you to view the interview of the Omani foreign minister with CBS News. This is just the day before the start of the war. He said that a diplomatic solution was available, and he said that Iran was available to give concessions on its nuclear program that Iran was not able to do before. And Trump attacked Iran, Trump and Netanyahu attacked Iran just less than 24 hours after that interview. It's understandable. They want to change Iran's government. They want to disintegrate Iran. They want to take over Iranian oil. And you don't enter an agreement with the government that you want to overthrow. But as I said, I don't want to focus on the 3rd war. I want to focus on the 2nd war. Because we see in Iran, and we become very sad, that some progressive outlets in the United States didn't get what happened in Iran in January. Everybody realizes what happened in June, the 12-day war. Everybody realizes what's happening now. But with regard to what happened in Iran in January, we have some people in the progressive community that lost their way. And since I'm not supposed to talk too long, I'm going to be very quick. These progressive forces that didn't realize what happened in Iran in January are good at citing the 1953 coup. They realized what happened in Iran in 1953. The United States and UK government organized the coup to basically take over Iranian oil. And they cite that. That is good. But they didn't realize that in January, Iran experienced another coup, attempted coup. It failed, unlike 1953 this time. It failed. And this time, it was organized by United States and Israel. This was a Mossad operation. You don't have to believe the analysis of an Iranian professor. You can go to the former CIA director's Twitter account, and he sent the former Secretary of State, he sent greetings, New Year greetings, and I'm quoting him here, Mike Pompeo, New Year greetings to Mossad agents on Iranian streets. Mossad has been planning to do a coup in Iran for a number of years. And if that coup was successful, if they had managed to change Iran's government in that coup, you would not have the current war. The reason you have the current war is because that coup was not successful. And the planning was that either they are successful, so they overthrow the Iranian government so they can disintegrate Iran and take over Iranian oil, the same way they did in 1953, or they can demonize Iran, damage Iran's reputation internationally. And that's how you get all these exaggerated numbers with regard to number of people who were killed. In his State of Union address, Trump said 32,000 people were killed in Iran in January. That is exaggerated. The figures come from Pahlavi outlets. And everybody remembers who the Shah was Iran, one of the most corrupt rulers of the 20th century. He stole $20 billion when he fled Iran. In my Twitter account, I have the link to that Washington Post report reporting the figure, $20 billion. This is a 1979 report in Washington Post. He was a fascist. His father was a fascist. His son is a fascist. His son visited Israel 2 times in the middle of genocide. And they organized this coup, and we lost about 3,000 people, not 32,000 people, 3,000 people, mostly shot by these Mossad agents. They wanted to create a huge number of dead people by shooting people, so they can either get away with the coup, or they could demonize Iran so they could attack Iran, and then you would have people, including some people in the progressive community in the United States, falling for that trap. The Iranian government has published the names of all victims, about 3,000 people, with their ID numbers. Trump or the corporate media outlets in Western countries, or these progressive organizations, some of them, I probably should not name names because they do some good work. They haven't been able to add one more name to the list that Iranian government provided. And out of the 3,000 people who were killed, 2,400 were killed by the coup organizers. We lost 200 police officers. I'm very disappointed when in progressive community they called January riots protests. In English is not my mother's tongue, but as far as I understand, when you shoot a police officer, you don't call that person a protester. You call that person cop killer, police shooter. There are other words that are used in English. we lost over 200 police officers. And the reason we lost over 200 police officers was because the government here did not allow them to shoot back in the first few days of riots, because they realized that this is an attempt to increase the number of people who get killed so they could use it for propaganda purposes. We lost over 200 police officers, and the 2,200 other people who were killed, ordinary citizens. We had Pahlavi announcing that he wants a general strike, and then his people with Mossad went and shot shop owners who refused to close their shops. They shot people in the streets, and this is how we lost 3,000 people. Very sad. What the government here has done is that they're providing help to all these families who have lost loved ones, no matter how they were killed. So this is something that I hope for our audience, they realize what happened in January. It is important, because if you are seeking justice, if Iranian government would shoot protesters, I would not be speaking to you now. I would not be supporting that. We have, unlike the Epstein class, we have ethical standards. And because of those ethical standards, we need to make sure that the propaganda that is leveled against people internationally is not successful. We need to realize what actually has happened. Since I think I have used all my time, let me, this would be my last sentence, that we need to remember, Trump has managed to unite Iranians more than any Iranian politician could ever do, because even people who disagreed with the government here don't like to send their children to school and not see them again. They don't like their local hospital to be attacked by someone like Netanyahu, repeating what he did in Gaza, in Tehran and other cities. And on the first day of the attacks, Netanyahu asked Iranians to come to the streets in millions. And they are, every night, chanting against him and Trump. So the Iranians are resisting in millions. You probably have seen the pictures. Don't watch the BBC. I was on BBC the other day. I told them, you're not going to show these pictures. And I was right. Later on, when I reviewed the program, they showed one person's hand. They didn't show millions of people who showed up. They showed just the hand in representing that population. So the hope that we have is that we remember that the 1979 revolution was a very popular revolution. Millions of people came and overthrew the corrupt US puppet, the Shah, and that popular support continues to help Iran to resist these type of aggressions. And unless we realize that there is that popular support in Iran for this revolutionary government, unless we realize that, we are not going to be able to understand what's going on. We will fall for the propaganda of the corporate media, and some of the media that were created to question the corporate media, but they fell short on this issue. My time is up. I'm going to type my WhatsApp number in this chat box. If any of you, any place in the world, want us to come and talk to your gatherings or help in other ways, we'll be happy to do that. Thank you very much for holding this online rally. Thank you, Azra.
Thank you, Professor Adi. Thank you so much. I follow Professor Marandi all the time, and so he has been very vocal, and what is happening in Iran is we know through him. So thank you for sharing your WhatsApp and information. We would really love to hear more and more from our Irani comrades. And yes, there is popular support in spite of what the government of Pakistan is trying to do, divide Shias and Sunnis in my country. There is immense support now amongst all, all Muslims, whichever sect they come from. It's now beyond that. So thank you very much for speaking. And let me now go to our next speaker. It's an honor to have Hamid Charabi here. Hamid Charabi is the co-founder of Global Resistance for Peace and Justice and the founder of the House of Latin America, which is based in Iran. Mr. Charabi, please go ahead. It's a great pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to meet you, and thank you for invitation. My special thanks to the main organizers of the events, the International League of People's Struggle, the Resist US-led War movement, as well as the United National Anti-War Coalition, UNAC, and also more than 40 other organizations who have sponsored this great event, this solidarity event. I'll be very short and brief, because I think the audience here, everybody, they know what is happening. But this is the gist of the matter. The imperialists and the Zionists, they are punishing the Iranian people because we have shown that we are determined and we are decided to defend our sovereignty. This is what it is. This is the whole story and nothing else. They want our national resources. They want to go back to the old history of colonizing us. And what is happening today in Iran is that their scheme is being shattered. Dr. Izzadi mentioned what is happening right now in Iran, and you are all witnessing. Let me give you a sense of what is really happening in Tehran, other cities in Iran. Right now that I'm speaking to you, I'm talking from a small village. It's called Shahrasar. It's a village in Talaghan, a region like about 70 to 80 small villages. Last night, when the year changed, the majority of the people in these villages, they were gathered, they were at the main square of the center of our villages in Sharak, chanting their one slogan, that we are united. This was the slogan. We are united, we are decided, we are determined to resist this war of aggression. And look at it. I was listening to Mr. Trump explaining, he was giving his own version of what is happening in Iran. He was saying that all these things that they're saying about mass demonstrations in Iran is created by artificial intelligence. It's very interesting. At the moment which he was saying that, I in a street in Tehran, that the crowd was so condensed that I couldn't even talk. And right at the same time that we were rallying in the street, there were airplanes, US and Israeli airplanes bombing us. And what happened, that after they bombed, people were more decided and more dedicated to continue this fight. So what is really happening is that we are making the history. We are making the history. The Iranian people are making the history. Thanks to the martyrdom of the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei. What he did was a conscious action of telling the whole world that he's ready to die for defending Iran, for defending the Muslim people, for defending all the Iranian people. And as his successor, Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei, just said yesterday, now, today, not only Muslims, but all people in Iran with different opinions, with different ideas, they're all united. And this is very important to notice. He mentioned explicitly that people with different beliefs in Iran are today united. And this is exactly what is happening. I know that there are a lot of people that are here to speak, so I'll be very short, just to finish with these words of appreciating what you are doing, the solidarity. This is what we need. This is exactly what we need. More webinars like this, continuous and uninterrupted demonstration and rallies in the streets of the United States. My special thanks to comrades from the United States that are doing a brave act of defending us. I have to say, mention a name, Sarah Flanders, who has been with us all the time since the early days of our revolution. And the young comrades that have organized this, I'm very glad to see them doing such a fantastic action. Thank you very much again for inviting me. Thank you for holding such a great event.
Thank you so much, Hamid Sharabi. It was really, it gives us more militancy, more hope to stand up and fight along with Iran till the imperialists, especially US imperialism, is down. And we have a free world, a liberated world, a world free of wars and deaths and genocide and death and destruction, killing our children, killing our really small babies. It's been so harrowing. It has been so hard for all of us, but in solidarity with you for all times till liberation. So thank you, Hamid Sharabi. Let me now, it's going to be a 2-minute video from Taha Zinali. Taha Zinali works with Markaz-e Mutalaat Muhammad, Hakmiyat-e Milli Otasi. It's very close to Urdu, so I hope I got the pronunciation right. In English, it is the Center for the Study of Resistance, Sovereignty, and Development at the University of Tehran. Taha Zinali researches sanctions, imperialism, and sovereign development in Iran. So we will play his video from a recent rally against aggression in Tehran.
US-led imperialism is the most powerful military power across the whole modern history, and Iran is fighting against that. When one wants to express solidarity with Iranian resistance, must necessarily express the solidarity with the Islamic Republic of Iran without a strong state that enables indigenous technological advancement, enables defensive industrialization, which is embodied in Iranian missile systems, hitting all the US bases across the region, hitting all the cities of the occupied Palestine, without the martyred commanders, and most importantly, without the martyred supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, this wouldn't be possible. One cannot oppose imperialism without genuinely supporting resistance. And supporting resistance means supporting all the forces, political and military forces enabling the resistance. So we are here to defend Iran. We defend Islamic Republic of Iran, and we defend our new supreme leader, Ayatollah Sayyid Mujtaba Khamenei.
Thank you so much. So after that, we have another short video from Sara Larijani. She, in the beginning, could not make it, but I'm not sure if she's able to join. She's also from the same organization as Taha. It's the Center for the Study of Resistance, Sovereignty, and Development. Shall we go ahead with the video?
Today is the 12th day of US-Israeli war of aggression against Iran. Many homes are damaged here because of the US-Israeli bombs. US and Israel think that they can divide Iranian people by attacking their neighborhoods, their hospitals, their houses. But they are wrong. They don't know us. They don't know Iranian people. Have you heard about our legend, Arash the Archer? 1,000 years ago, enemies attacked Iran. Everything was shattered. Everyone thought Iran was defeated. The enemy wanted to humiliate Iranian people. He said, "We are on your land. You can decide the borders between us and yourselves. Bring your best archer. Wherever his arrows come down is your border." People were in sorrow. People were sad, and they were thinking, will my city be in Iran again? Will my village be in Iran again? There are a lot of talks in the army. Who is going to shoot the arrow? And then comes a villager, a man from a working family, a peasant, Arash. Arash says, "I will take my archer and I will keep Iranian border. I will not let an inch of this land go away." Everyone is confused, pessimistic. But Arash takes his arrow. He goes to the mountain. On the mountain top, he takes his archer and he puts his spirit in that archer. His arrow goes so far away that Iranian border stays intact. We do not lose an inch of land in that legendary war. We are hearing people building again their windows. Just look, they are building again their windows. This is Iran. Iran today has thousands of women and men who are like Arash. They will defend the land. Our soldiers who are sending the missiles from launchers, they are shooting arrows of Arash. They will decide the fate of this war. We defend Iran.
Zindabad, Iran. And yes, we all stand with Iran. And as Iran defends itself, we stand in solidarity, and we also stand in solidarity with all the people across the world fighting against this evil regime, the Epstein regime, as most people now call it. And so thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Tehran, and she recorded this video while there was bombardment happening in Tehran. So much courage and so much determination from the people. With that, let me go to the next speaker, who is Libre Sankara from Palestine. He's a Boricua aid worker living and working in Gaza. He is part of the Coalition for the Elimination of Imperialism in Africa. So welcome, Libre.
Peace, peace, comrades. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. كل عام وانت بخير. Eid Mubarak to everyone that is celebrating. I'm Libre. I'm originally from Borinquen, what people colonially know as Puerto Rico. I've been in Gaza during the genocide for about 2 years as a humanitarian worker. I think right now the thing that comes to mind when I was asked to speak more than anything was the need for international solidarity. And when I'm talking about international solidarity, I'm not talking about releasing solidarity letters or statements. I'm talking about action. What we have to realize is that the importance of the axis of resistance and the importance of Iran right now is that Iran has been, since the beginning of the genocide, the only thing that has given us justice. The ICC, the ICJ, and the UN have been ineffective in delivering justice for the world's most documented genocide to date. And also by default, Iran is helping with the genocide happening in Sudan. And so we must realize that that supporting Iran is supporting the axis of resistance. It is supporting justice. It is supporting the Ummah. It is supporting the fight against imperialism everywhere. That we have a role to fight against sanctions that are killing over 500,000 people a year. As someone that comes from the oldest colony in the world, Puerto Rico. We've been colonized since 1493. We are still resisting, but we look to examples such as Cuba and Iran that, despite sanctions, have shown more international solidarity with the global South than the Western imperialists ever will. And so we have a duty to combat the propaganda that's coming out, and we also have to realize that the genocide still continues. Right, it's been over 2 years of genocide. About 10% of the population has been completely obliterated here. There are constant violations of the so-called ceasefire. Never believe ceasefire when it comes out the mouth of the people that are colonizing you, because it's always a lie. There's no peace deal in the Congo. There's no ceasefire in Sudan. There's no ceasefire in Palestine. There's no ceasefire in Lebanon. There's been over 15,000 violations of the so-called ceasefire in Lebanon as they push people north of the Litani River and continue to illegally steal land, as they steal land in Syria as part of the Greater Israel Plan. So we have to be very clear that supporting Iran is supporting humanity. It's supporting our right to resistance and our right to sovereignty, and that we must not only combat the propaganda that is coming out of Iran, but we must have but we must commit to tangible actions that support the ending of genocides and that support the ending of all sanctions of all countries, because the only countries that are being sanctioned by the US are the ones that are resisting Western imperialism, that are trying to build a multipolar world, that are helping to build the possibility of sovereignty for nations like Borinquen, like Puerto Rico, that are resisting U.S. imperialism, but are having a really hard time. And so all of these things are connected. The genocide in Gaza, has shown us that we have a lot of work to do, that there's a lot of selective empathy in the world, and that there's not enough action, that we've forgotten what tangible resistance is. Iran is a reminder to our rights to resistance, but also the importance of resisting. And we can look into the Iranian constitution, where the liberation of Palestine is written into their documents. The only place that I've seen that happen anywhere else is Cuba, that has the liberation of Puerto Rico as part of their constitution. So it's not surprising that countries that are resisting imperialism write in their constitutions and include the necessity of international solidarity and the liberation of other oppressed people. And so, as we continue to survive this genocide, as the illegal blockade of Gaza continues, as they continue to disappear us, as they continue to bomb us, we need more countries like Iran, we need more countries like Yemen, and we need to support them. Again, beyond solidarity statements, we need to shut down ports so that weapons don't get in. We need to economically hurt the people that are oppressing us, and we need to tangibly liberate people that are not only fighting genocide, but countries that are fighting occupation, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, that was illegally invaded by the US, Cuba, that is facing attacks right now, Nigeria, which is being invaded by the US right now to attack the AES. We have to make international solidarity action, not just words. We have to move beyond ideas towards tangibly building the world that we deserve to live in, which is a world without imperialism and a world without Zionism. Thank you, comrades. As we say in my country, siempre pa'lante, hasta la victoria siempre, always forward, forever forward, comrades. Thank you so much, and solidarity to Iran and all oppressed people resisting colonization and Zionism.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you so much. And thank you for being in Gaza, standing with the Palestinians, and doing what is very, very hard for so many people. So we really thank you, and in solidarity with you, keep safe, and our love and solidarity to the Palestinians in Gaza. With that, I pass over to Victor. Thank you, friends.
Yes, thank you so much for all the speakers that just went in Iran and Palestine, and definitely keep in touch. We'll definitely are definitely hearing the calls to, yeah, fight this disinformation campaign, to be in the streets, to flood the streets, and also move towards tangible action, block the ports, and hurt those companies that are actually enabling this war and genocide. So from then on, we're gonna go into the speakers from Latin America. I have the pleasure to introduce Amira El Khalil from Movimento de Mulheres pela Paz na Palestina, or Movement of Women for Peace in Palestine. Amira is the editor of the network Movement of Women for Peace in Palestine. And I ask everyone, if you don't speak Portuguese, to please go to your preferred language channel, since Amira will be addressing us in Portuguese. Obrigado por estar aqui, Amira, e passo a palavra para ti.
Muito obrigada, companheiras e companheiros. Eu sou a Mirel Halili, beduína palestina brasileira, professora economista e editora das redes Movimento Mulheres pela Paz na Palestina e Aliança de Redes de Cooperação Comunitária desde o Sul Global. O Movimento Mulheres pela Paz na Palestina é uma formação de rede fundada há 26 anos, durante a Segunda Intifada Palestina. Ela é transdisciplinar, apartidária e tem como objetivo promover a paz entre os grupos étnicos, povos e nações. Temos como princípio norteador construir, por meio do debate e da informação, ações que propiciem a aproximação, a criação e o fortalecimento de relações interraciais e interculturais, orientando a não intervenção, a não ingerência e a não dominação de uns sobre os outros. Neste Dia Internacional de Jerusalém, mesmo sob bombas e intensos ataques, o povo iraniano, lado a lado com suas lideranças, esteve nas ruas, demonstrando sua capacidade e competência inabalável na linha de frente, em solidariedade aos povos oprimidos e apoio às forças de resistência da Palestina ao Líbano, à Síria, ao Iêmen e ao Iraque. Estamos, com orgulho, reafirmando mais uma vez que herdamos a luta, a coragem e a resiliência de nossos heróicos mártires, lembrando aos árabes e muçulmanos que, enquanto os símbolos sagrados da nação islâmica e as sacralidades cristãs estiverem sob o controle dos inimigos, não haverá dignidade nem futuro. Agradecemos à Coalizão Nacional Unida Anti-Guerra, ao movimento Resistir pela Guerra liderada pelos Estados Unidos, à Liga Internacional da Luta e dos Povos e às organizações e ativistas aqui presentes, pela realização deste encontro em apoio ao Irã, Líbano, Palestina, contra os agressores americanos sionistas. Continuaremos em comunhão promovendo a tolerância, a harmonia, a colaboração e auxílio mútuo, de modo que a identidade e a liberdade sejam indissociáveis e utilizadas como instrumento para a construção de um mundo que compreenda a existência de desígnios superiores e transcendentais para a humanidade, por ser essa a nossa convicção de que este é o único caminho para garantir a segurança e a soberania dos povos. Enviamos nossas orações a todos e todas que se opuseram ao genocídio e massacres cometidos pelo regime sionista estadunidense e se posicionaram ao lado certo da história. Que a paz e as bênçãos estejam sobre os mártires da verdade e da retidão. Alhamdulillah, muito obrigada.
Muito obrigado, Amira. Thank you so much. I think being from Brazil myself, I know how much the Palestinian and Arab diaspora have been fighting not only for the liberation of Palestine and the whole of West Asia, but also the fight for liberation of the whole of Latin America and the world. So it's an honor to have you here, to know you and hear your words. Thank you so much. And right now we're gonna move on to a organization called Processo de Comunidades Negras. We're gonna hear from Felipe. PCN, or Processo de Comunidades Negras, is an organization of over 140 Afro-descendant organizations in Colombia, work for the defense of their ancestral rights. The floor is yours, Felipe. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hola, hola. Muy buenas tardes con todos y todas. Agradecer la invitación a este importante espacio. Me presento, mi nombre es Yamal Felipe Granja, del Proceso de Comunidades Negras en Colombia, una organización que desde los 90 viene desarrollando la lucha por el territorio y por la vida digna y el antirracismo de los pueblos negros. En este momento tan importante enviamos la solidaridad al pueblo de Irán, que está en resistencia en este momento, al pueblo de Palestina, al pueblo de Sudán, al pueblo haitiano, ante esta ofensiva antiimperialista en este momento, donde pues nosotros leemos que el racismo se agudiza cada vez más, donde el sionismo, con una política de supremacía, se quiere imponer ante los demás. Y en este momento, pues enviamos un saludo de solidaridad a todos los pueblos. En este momento nosotros en Colombia estamos en una ofensiva desde el gobierno del presidente Gustavo Petro también, avanzando en la solidaridad con los pueblos. Entendemos que el presidente y este gobierno se ha solidarizado con el pueblo de Palestina y con los demás pueblos que están en resistencia. Y así seguimos nosotros como organización. Luchando por el territorio y solidarizándonos. Es un momento, compañeros y compañeras, de que los ejercicios de solidaridad vayan más allá de los comunicados y de los ejercicios de redes y que pasen a la acción de movilización popular en los pueblos y en los territorios, que es donde tenemos que ejercer las acciones desde los pueblos. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Felipe, for reminding us the connections and the righteousness of the indigenous fight for land, be it in Colombia, be it in Palestine, be it there in Latin America and the whole world, and how all those fights are connected with one another. Thank you so much. Right now, we're going to go into a quick cultural break. So we'll play a video which was recommended to us by Hamid Shrabi. And the first cultural performance, it's really to mourn the lives of the martyrs of this struggle and to continue to commit to the fight. So we'll hear this Iranian song, which is performed just after a few days after the June 12-day war against Iran, and describes the resistance of the country and was sung at the request of the supreme leader. So we'll hear that. Thank you, Carly.
ایران خدای اینو خدا آقا جانم فرمودم بخون گفتم اگه خسته نمیشی بخون من واسه شما میمیرم آقا جان به علی قسم نامردا دروغ میگن ما جانم مال شماست ای میهن خدای ایران کربلای ایران ذوالفقار ایران عاشورایی ای میهن خدای ایران کربلای ایران ذوالفقار ایران عاشورایی در روح و جان من میمانی ای وطن در روح و جان من میمانی ای وطن تو هستی حرم توی تو خانه من در روح و جان من میمانی ای وطن توی ای ایران ایران دور از دامان پاکت دست دیگران بدگوهران ای مهر رخشان زیر سایه حیدر باشی در امان ای دل و جان ای ایران ایران دور از دامان پاکت دست دیگران بدگوهران ای مهر رخشان زیر سایه حیدر باشی در امان ای دل و جان ای میهن خدایی صحن امام رضایی ایران ذوالفقار ایران عاشورایی ای میهن خدایی ایران ذوالفقار ایران عاشورایی خاکت آغشته شد با خاک کربلا خاکت آغشته شد با بوی کربلا توی که حسن تو شد بیرق سرخ سقا خاکت آغشته شد با بوی کربلا توی که حسن تو شد بیرق سرخ سقا ای معراج ما ای آسمانت خط سرخ شهدا هستی ما نظر تو بادا ای دست مردمان تو در دست خدا مهد وفا تو سربلند و پیروز در کل عالم اینی تا وقتی با تو باشد این غیرت حسینی در روح و جان من میمانی ای وطن در روح و جان من میمانی ای وطن تو هستی حرم تو خانه ای ایران خدایی صحن امام رضایی ایران ذوالفقار ایران عاشورایی تو سربلند و پیروز در کل عالم اینی تا وقتی با تو باشد این غیرت حسینی یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful song. I think it's really clear to see through the video and through the song what the speakers have been telling us already, but how the people of Iran do support the Islamic Republic and the anti-colonial and anti-imperialist fight that the Islamic Republic and the people of Iran are fighting, not only for their nation, but for all oppressed people of the world. So thank you so much. To finish, our comrades from Latin America will hear from folks in Venezuela, which have also been fighting a brutal attack by US imperialists, which in January bombed their capital and kidnapped their president, as well as first combatant Celia Flores. I'll pass the word to Iglim Spinhuela. She is a journalist and popular educator in Venezuela. Thank you so much for being here.
Hola, saludos camaradas, es un gusto estar con ustedes nuevamente y saludarles desde Venezuela. En nombre de mi pueblo, que enfrenta permanentemente el asedio del imperialismo bajo su guerra híbrida, con modalidades de bloqueo, guerra económica, guerra psicológica y cognitiva, estigmatización global, guerra mediática, intentos de intervención desde la institucionalidad internacional e incluso el uso de la fuerza militar el pasado 3 de enero de este año. Desde esta experiencia sabemos que no hay forma de comprender las acciones del imperialismo, sino desde una perspectiva global, que su agresión contra Venezuela no solamente tiene que ver con el saqueo de nuestros recursos energéticos, que tenemos la mayor y más grande reserva de petróleo del mundo, sino con la posibilidad de disponer de estos recursos ante un escenario de mayor interés para ellos, como el intento de dominar a Irán y anular un gran bastión de resistencia para la conquista de esa región tan rica y estratégica. Es la misma razón por la que hoy atacan al Líbano. Precisamente eso es lo que buscan, anular toda expresión de soberanía que haga resistencia a su poderío y dominio global. Han elegido este tiempo para intentar tener una avanzada de mayor control, apuntando a un control absoluto. También quiero sumar una denuncia por las medidas de ahogo contra el pueblo cubano. Se trata de acciones de genocidio que solamente pretenden exterminar toda expresión política que les adverse en este lado del planeta. Vaya desde este espacio un saludo de reconocimiento y solidaridad con el pueblo cubano, el pueblo más solidario e internacionalista que ha conocido el mundo en los años recientes. Agradezco muchísimo estos espacios, agradezco la muestra de solidaridad, con los pueblos que no solamente estamos siendo atacados, sino estigmatizados, silenciados, censurados, pues solamente la solidaridad internacionalista puede hacer frente al imperialismo. Nosotros venceremos, camaradas.
Thank you so much, Iglums. Really great to hear directly from Venezuela, and again, similar to Iran, seeing the millions of people in the streets asking and demanding that Maduro and Celia Flores are back and against US imperialism and aggression. You mentioned Cuba. We did have a speaker coming here from Cuba, Ivan from ICAP, but unfortunately, due to the siege that the US is imposing on the Cuban people, he was not able to be here today and send a video. But we know that the Nostra America convoy, it's in Cuba right now. There will be mobilizations today for the Cuban people, in support of the Cuban people, and we're also sending our solidarity and seeing the connection of the fight against the siege being imposed in Cuba, and also the siege being posed in West Asia, in Iran, in Lebanon, and Palestine. Thank you so much. We'll also go, now we'll go to speakers that are fighting this war on Iran directly inside the belly of the beast. I'll pass first to Ajamu Baraka, which represents the Black Alliance for Peace and is also part of the Administrative Committee of the United National Anti-War Coalition, which, as Joe mentioned in the beginning, UNAC fights against war at home and abroad of the major perpetrators of war and injustice in the world, the US government, along with its allies and proxies. Thank you so much, Ajamu, for being here. I'll pass the word to you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here, my honor to be here among all of the freedom fighters. We say always all power to the people. We say all power to the people not as an abstract slogan, but as a confirmation of what must occur, especially at this critical moment in history. It's quite clear that the enemy has made a declaration. a declaration of war against all of us, against the people of this planet. Our responsibility is to make sure that this war does not remain a one-sided war. So we salute everyone who is here, and we call on everyone here to make a redoubling of effort. This is a moment in history unlike any other moment, because we are in a transitional moment, one in which the powers that have been in place beginning in 1492 are now engaged in a frantic attempt to try to maintain their global humanity, their global hegemony. And these forces, this collective West, if you will, seem to understand only one language, and that is a language of power. And what we are seeing with the resistance from Iran is a magnificent articulation of power, a magnificent articulation of what needs to be done when you find yourself in the crosshairs of imperialist aggression. It is our responsibility to augment that resistance, especially those of us who struggle in the belly of this beast. This call today, this call to action must be one that is followed by concrete, strengthened organization, international solidarity. We're not going to defeat imperialism through shouting at it. It's only going to be defeated as a consequence of the concentration of power from our sources, from our forces. We must understand that and take up this task with power and with conviction. So I salute everyone here. We say we must understand that we are fighting on multiple fronts, that Iran is not by itself, but that we can't understand the aggression against Iran without understanding what is happening with Venezuela, the siege of Cuba, and the intensification of repression within the belly of the beast. These are all expressions of one common struggle, and therefore the resistance, our reaction has to be an expression of our common interest among ourselves. So we fight today, we'll fight tomorrow, and there's no doubt in our minds that we will be victorious. We are the majority. We have the values. We have the vision of what needs to be done. All we have to do now is to move with power, conviction, with a understanding that together we in fact will prevail. All power to the people, of victory, and we will win, my brothers and sisters and comrades.
Thank you so much, Jamu. Really resonate with your message. Let's double, triple, tenfold our efforts. We know that U.S. imperialism is in crisis, but it's the people, the oppressed people of the world that will put the final nail on the coffin of this tyrannical power. And thank you so much for being here. We'll move next to Marie Purcell with Veterans for Peace. Marie is a disabled U.S. Army combatant veteran with the organization Veterans for Peace. She's based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on stolen Dakota land. She is separated as a conscious objector in 2008 after 2 deployments to the occupation of Iraq. Thank you so much for being here, Marie. I'll pass it to you.
Thank you so very much. It is an absolute honor to be here with everyone. I am overwhelmed by the power in our room here today. Yes, my name is Marie Purcell, and I am a U.S. abolitionist. I live in Minneapolis in the core of Empire on Turtle Island, where the indigenous Dakota people came under occupation through violent colonial conquest, land seizure, illegal governments, militaries, and police. The Dakota people remain fighting and thriving, their very existence as proof that colonization cannot and will not prevail. I am a mother. In my young daughter's eyes, I see the children of the world, the children of Cuba, of Venezuela, of Haiti and Hawaii, of Sudan and Congo, the children of Lebanon and Iran, the children of Gaza. A decade ago, a Black man had just been killed by the state. Was it Jamar Clark in the fall of 2015 or Philando Castile the summer just after? I held a candle. A Black father said to the crowd, "There is no such thing as other people's children," and something powerful stirred inside of me. And then George Floyd was lynched by Minneapolis police, calling out for his mother with his dying breaths, setting off a global chorus of Black Lives Matter in the uprisings of 2020. We are at war with the forces of death. ICE has a field office in Tel Aviv. More than 25% of Border Patrol agents are former US military. They execute people fleeing terrible violence. They dump their bodies in rivers. Weapons companies equip Israel, and the military is now sailing to the Strait of Hormuz. They also equip the ICE agents infesting my neighborhoods here in Minneapolis. Prison companies enforce slave labor on incarcerated Black Americans and lock up immigrant children in cages without their parents, nourishment, or care. Both political parties in the United States encourage this violence, and profits flow into the pockets of the pedophilic owning class who take pleasure in harming our children. The degree of evil is alarming, and if we let it, the fear they stoke can isolate and overwhelm us. But the beast fights hardest before it falls. I live in the heart of a dying empire, foaming at the mouth, exposed, bleeding. And thanks especially to the people of Gaza, I understand the concept of collective courage. In Minneapolis, we are brave together, undermining US supremacy and building alternatives that are rooted in collective care that center children and families. And so from the Badote here and the fight at home, to Tehran and the fight abroad and all over this world, together we will weaken empire and bring about its inevitable and predestined downfall. Thank you so much for this time to speak. It has been an honor, solidarity, and strength to the global resistance.
Thank you so much, Marie, for being here. And yeah, again, reminding us of the connections of what the US is doing with migrants and the war on migrants and working people inside US borders, stolen land as well, to the connection of the genocide that is enacting on West Asia, on Palestine, on Lebanon, and in Iran right now. So thank you so much. We're moving on now to Maria with AWAN, or the Anti-War Action Network, which is waging anti-war campaigns in the US. She lives in Tucson, Arizona, and I'll pass it to you, Maria.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you to the organizers of today's event. As Victor mentioned, my name is Maria Sohn-Hasman, and I'm an organizer with the Tucson Anti-War Committee in Tucson, Arizona. The Tucson Anti-War Committee is a member organization of the Anti-War Action Network, or AWAN, who I'll be speaking on behalf of today. The Anti-War Action Network is a nationwide network of anti-war, anti-imperialist organizations, and we have 27 member organizations in 24 cities in the United States. We are action-oriented, and we are building a countrywide movement of people who will fight against US imperialism in the streets and in the halls of power. And as we all know, it's been a busy time for us as anti-war activists, yeah. On January 3rd, 20 AWAN cities successfully held emergency responses to the illegal kidnapping of democratically elected President Nicolas Maduro and first combatant Celia Flores. On February 28th, another 20 AWAN cities held emergency protests in response to the US and Israeli strikes on Iran within 24 hours. And one of the key reasons we were so successful in mobilizing people the same day was because of a strategy that we learned from our comrades in Chicago and Milwaukee. As the US escalated their aggression on both Venezuela and Iran, the anti-war committees in Chicago and Milwaukee put out a flyer and said, if the US escalates, or if they strike Iran or Venezuela before 1 p.m., we will protest the same day. We will be out in the streets the same day. If the US escalates or strikes and it happens after 1 p.m., we will protest the next day. And what this did was allow our cities to prepare internally in our organizations, but also in the community. So many anti-war activists have joined the movement since October 7th, 2023. And we know so much about Palestine, but not so much about Venezuela or Iran. So preparing for large mobilizations in our cities this way allowed us to have internal discussions and do political education to prepare our members. And we had laid a lot of the groundwork already with the attacks on Venezuela. And we could meet with our members and say, remember when we talked about US propaganda and we talked about Venezuela's oil reserves and we talked about the US wanting control of that? And remember when we talked about Venezuela's strong relationships with Cuba and Palestine? And because we had already had those conversations and challenged our folks to think critically as students of US imperialism, it helped us in doing the same for Iran. Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves. Iran has the third or fourth world's largest oil reserves. Venezuela has been a supporter of Palestine. Iran has been unwavering in their support of the Palestinian people, especially since October 7, 2023, but beyond that. And there is no world in which attempted coups, sanctions, embargoes, wars, strikes, any of those things make a nation stronger or provide the healthy conditions for a nation and its people to determine its own destiny. So this approach to mobilizing in our cities also meant that we were ready to be out in the streets, making it clear that we will not be silent. Trump's wars and attacks around the world will not go unanswered. In addition to our emergency responses to US attacks around the world, A1 also calls national days of action. Our last one was this last Sunday, March 15th, to say no US war on Iran and demonstrate that the masses in the US do not support these wars. Trump's agenda has been nonstop war and terror around the world, from the genocide in Gaza, attacks on our own cities by militarized ICE forces, kidnapping Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro and first combatant Celia Flores, the economic strangulation of Cuba, to this current war on Iran. It is clear that the US is a dying empire and Trump is lashing out across the globe in an attempt to seize any kind of power. And it is up to us living here in the belly of the imperial beast to build a powerful anti-war movement and demand an end to US imperialism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Really good to also hear how people are actually taking action, taking the streets, flooding the streets, not only also through these actions, but through long-term campaigns that are targeting the source of these wars. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll now move to Hossam, which will be speaking for the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, or USPCN, which is a Palestinian and Arab community-based organization in the U.S. and part of the broader Palestinian nation in exile and the homeland. Thank you so much for being here, Hossam. I'll pass the word to you.
Greetings, siblings and comrades. It's such an honor to be here with you all and to be able to speak among many leaders, important leaders and organizers across the globe. What we're witnessing today is a historic battle that is shifting the global balance of power. It is a battle that is not only ridding the Middle East of the greatest evil to ever exist, but is setting a new standard in defense, resistance, and defiance. The axis of resistance is going toe-to-toe with the most powerful and advanced militaries on Earth. The genocide Epstein axis is panicking, scrambling, exposed, and desperate for solutions to a war they started and a resistance they significantly underestimated. Despite sanctions, assassinations, decades of destabilization efforts, and relentless political pressures, the axis of resistance has brightened the light at the end of the tunnel. The so-called invincible Israeli occupation is running on borrowed time, shorter now than ever, especially with its defense resources depleted. The U.S. empire's stranglehold on the region, propped up for decades by bases across the Gulf states, is crumbling in front of our eyes. We remind the world and affirm that the oppressed, the occupied, and the sanctioned have an international right to resist genocidal states and entities. We condemn the illegal U.S. Zionist war and aggression. We condemn the Arab Gulf monarchies' complicity in the war in Iran and the genocide in Palestine. Their shameful betrayal and their threats to enter the war will bring consequences they are not prepared for. The free and conscious people of the world must stand against this war and all wars. War criminals must be held accountable. Justice must come for every victim of U.S. imperialism and every billionaire who funds it. That is why U.S. Palestinian Community Network, alongside the Anti-War Action Network, AWAN, is building a broad united front in Chicago, Illinois, where I come from, and across the United States to oppose the U.S. government's actions domestically and abroad through mass mobilizations, direct actions, and divestment campaigns against war profiteering companies. U.S. out of the Middle East, U.S. out of the Philippines, hands up Venezuela, Cuba, and Colombia, free Palestine from the river to the sea, all power to the people. Thank you all.
US out of everywhere. Thank you so much, Hussam. That was great, keeping the energy up and reminding us that Iran is showing us the way. It's showing that these bases are not invincible, that Israel is not invincible, that the Zionist entity can and will fall. Thank you so much for reminding us, and thank you so much for being here. Next up, we'll go to Europe. We'll hear a video from OS, from the Union of Cypriots in Cyprus. We know that Cyprus is it's one under occupation and being heavily used by NATO and US forces in these genocidal wars against West Asia, but we're gonna hear from the people in Cyprus that are actively defending their land and fighting for the expulsion of these imperialist forces from their land. Thank you so much.
Dear friends and comrades, as the Union of Cypriots, we thank the organizers of this important action and salute all the peoples fighting for liberation. The attacks against the peoples of our region, meaning West Asia and North Africa, have never ceased in the 21st century. The main actors in this aggression consistently be the same: the United States and the Zionist entity. US imperialism and its Zionist garrison attack the sovereignty of other nations and carry out genocidal acts against the people. As the people of Cyprus, we know this very well, because the Turkish occupation of Cyprus was also orchestrated by the same imperialist powers in order to create instability and maintain dominance in the region, and of course also preserve the military bases in our homeland. As Cypriots, we waged the national liberation struggle against the British colonialism, but because of this interference, our decolonization process also remained unfinished. Today, Britain still occupies part of our homeland and uses those areas as military bases against the people of our region. In recent decades alone, these bases have been used in acts of aggression against the people of Iraq, Libya, Syria, and in recent years, Palestinian people, and of course, in near future, possibly against the people of Iran as well. These actions are carried out without the control of the Cypriot state and against the will of Cypriot people. And all this shows us one reality: the struggles of the liberation of people are interconnected, both in our region and across the world. This gives us a task. The task of the revolutionaries is to unite the struggles more effectively. Without the liberation of one people, there can no liberation for another. So, long live the people's fight for land, liberation and sovereignty. Long live international solidarity.
Thank you so much, Oz. Couldn't be here, but thank you for your words and solidarity from Cyprus. Before we go into the last three speakers, we'll play a second cultural, if our tech team can cue it up. But really, yeah, talking again about the war initiated upon Iran and a song that Iranians on their millions have been singing in the protests in the streets against this operation of US and the Zionist entity. If you can cue it up now, we'll play the song and continue the program.
تکه به عرش داده ای به این زمان خیره ای چقدر آیه سوخته چه روزگار تیره ای خیره به پس تر شدن خیره به خیره سر شدن خیره به حمله بر شدن خیره به خون جگر شدن به این همه فراعنه به بردهداری نوین به خوردن تن جنین به این قساوت زمین مدرسه های بی پناه دخترکان بی گناه بیا کمک رسیده ها سنگ دلان روسیا دریدگان پر غضب دهان نجس و بی ادب مریض و واجب المطب قماش تجزیه طلب پشت به ساحت وطن در التماس اهرمن نمیزنی چرا بزن آه وطن 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 صبر چگونه می کنی بر این همه جفا علی بغض چگونه می خوری یاد بده به ما علی امام اولین بگو به منجی زمین تمام دل شکستگان منتظرند بعد از این میان دشمن و وطن ننگ بران که شک کند ننگ بران که خواسته شمر به ما کمک کند بکش غم کشنده را مبر زیاد خنده را فکر نکن چه می شود خدا بس است بنده را بکش غم کشنده را مبرز یاد خنده را فکر نکن چه می شود خدا بس است بنده را
Yeah, thank you so much for queuing the song up. And some folks are asking about the name. I put it in the chat, Hasbi Allah. It was a song that was created right after the beginning of the current war, and as you saw, talking about the atrocities of the war of the crimes against humanity that the US and Israel have been committing, not only against Iran, but against the whole of humanity for as long as they existed. Thank you so much. And now I'll pass it to Azra to introduce our last few speakers. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Victor. So friends, we have another video from a young Pakistani activist. She's a youth part of a peasant organization. Because of Eid, she could not be here herself, but she has sent a short video. Rida is a youth leader of PKMT, which is a mass-based alliance of small and landless farmers, including women farmers. So let's hear what she has to say.
My name is Urida Batul. I speak as a National Core Group member of Pakistan Kisan Mazdoor Tehreek. Today, we stand in strong solidarity with the people of Iran. We condemn the illegal military offensive carried out by the United States and Zionist Israel against Iran. These attacks violate international law and the sovereignty of a nation. They have taken the lives of civilians, including schoolgirls and senior leaders such as Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The killing of civilians and attacks on schools and homes expose the brutal reality of US militarism. US have sanctioned Iran for decades and is now waging war against it because the country is unwilling to become a puppet of US. We stand with our brothers and sisters in Iran who have been the main force in Palestine, helping them to fight against Zionism and imperialism. So even though when this war has having an immense impact on farmers and workers in the global south and on Pakistan, we still stand firm in our solidarity with Iran. This war has reached us as well through rising prices and economic shocks. In countries like Pakistan, rural communities already struggle with poverty, debt, and climate crisis. These burdens are because of US militarism. It has waged war in my country as well, as it was fighting with Soviet Union and then later when it had Al-Qaeda. US militarism has left thousands dead and millions have been forcibly displaced in Pakistan and Afghanistan. So today, as the US carry out their brutal attacks on Iran and the economic shocks are borne by the people of Pakistan, we say loud and clear, the poverty, hunger and burdens of war is not because of Iran, but because of US and its Zionist baskers in Israel and the Arab world. So as the Palestine has suffered genocide and ecocide, we Pakistanis are also willing to stand firm, knowing full well that our suffering is because of Zionist forces. We will also stand firm along with Iran and to wipe out these brutal imperialist forces from our land and our region. Finally, I would like to call all Muslims, do not let Shia Sunni divided be a factor in our unity against Zionism and US hegemony. Let us not be divided and ruled as have been the most used tactic of colonialism for centuries. Long live Palestine, long live Iran. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Rida is very young, but very militant and very, very assertive about fighting for national liberation. So let me, from Rida, go forward to another speaker. And we are now in our region, in the Asia-Pacific region. And I would like to invite Aliansi Garakhan. No, I would like to invite Saiful Bathuni, who is the General Secretary of AGRA, Aliansi Garakhan Reforma Agraria. He's in an Indonesian peasant. It is an Indonesian peasant organization which was formed in 2004 and has been struggling for genuine land reforms in Indonesia. So, welcome, comrade. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, comrade.
Hello, you can hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Comrade Azra. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to me to be one of the speaker of this mass online rally. Greeting and solidarity from Indonesia. I'm Saiful Otoni, the General Secretary of AGRA, a democratic mass organization of peasant, fisherfolk, urban poor, and indigenous peoples fighting for a genuine agrarian reform in Indonesia. For this time, let me talk a little about the impact of this imperialism war to the semi-colonist country like Indonesia and how it forced by imperialism to support this imperialism war and aggression. The war that had been raging on and waged by U.S. imperialists against sovereign countries like Venezuela, Palestine, and now Iran cannot be separated from the deep crisis of imperialism, a crisis that entails aggressive expansions and accumulation for natural resources, commodity, and capital export. This is what is being manifested in the current situation, especially concerning in Indonesia, even though it's not being targeted by ballistic missiles and outright war, such as what being experienced by our Iranian brothers and sisters. The complete subordination of Indonesia by U.S. imperialism is a key and vital part. Prabowo Gibran regime in Indonesia this past year has shown its true character being a puppet regime of U.S. imperialism. Recently, through this puppet regime, Indonesia has been brought into Trump's Board of Peace and International Stabilization Force, legitimizing U.S. Zionist occupation and subordination of Palestinian peoples. Furthermore, Prabowo Gibran regime recently signed the agreement on reciprocal trade between Indonesia and U.S., a result of negotiation after the tariff impositions last year. This agreement opened Indonesia critical minerals open for U.S. imperialist exploitations, forced Indonesia to import U.S. oils, airplanes, technology, and many other commodities, even agricultural commodities, and a unequal tariff of 0% for most incoming U.S. commodities and 90% for Indonesia export to U.S. All of this happening while the Indonesia people is experiencing worsening political and economic crisis, including the seemingly imminent crisis due to the closure of Hormuz Strait, the rise of oil prices, and uncertainty in world market. Nonetheless, the massive expansions of land monopoly through land grabbing schemes like land bank, forestry project, expansions of big plantation and mining, taking away the land, livelihood, and homes of tens of thousands of families. The shrinking budget for social services and subsidies, especially for education and health services, due to efficiency cut while maintaining gigantic expenses in the military, police, and the national strategic from the pre-nutrition meals and red-white corporations. Continuous let off the hundreds of thousands of workers. All of that added with the increasingly fascist repression and stripping of democratic rights, with the most recent the acid attack on Andri Yunus, one of the Indonesian activists, and then the arrest and ongoing trial of hundreds of thousands activists and protesters, including the criminalizations of peasant and indigenous peoples defending their land. For the broad masses of peasants, worker, and oppressed people of Indonesia, this agreement between the puppet fascist regime Prabowo Gibran Indonesia with its master and the many anti-people policies are a form of exporting the burden of imperialist crisis to the oppressed people, especially in semi-colonies like Indonesia. There is no way out for us within the confines of the puppet regime policies and intensifying imperialist war. The capital and resources accumulated here in Indonesia through land grabbing and cheap labor are used to support U.S. imperialism amid the crisis and war. That is why throughout this past year alone, AGRA, with the other democratic mass organization in Indonesia, has held mass campaign and rally actions against imperialist war since August on tariff and presence of U.S. war machine in Venezuela, all the way to this past month against U.S. Zionist attack on Iran. Maybe only this, my short speech. Everyone, thank you. Our warmest and deepest solidarity to all comrades from various progressive democratic mass movement fighting against our common enemy, U.S. imperialism, the enemy of genuine peace, justice, and democracy. Stand with Iran, stand with Palestine, stand with Lebanon, resist U.S. imperialists, long live international solidarity.
Thank you so much, Comrade Saiful. Thank you for your activism, for your willingness to stand up for all oppressive regimes, and for what has been happening in Indonesia. We are with you, and of course with Iran, Palestine, and Lebanon. Let me now go to our next speaker. We have Joana Concepcion from Migrante International, which is a global alliance of grassroots migrant organizations of overseas Filipinos and their families in 24 countries. So, Joana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Asra. From the Philippines, militant greetings to all our comrades and friends in the struggle. The global movement of anti-imperialist grassroots migrants and Filipino migrants condemn the war of aggression of the United States and Zionist Israel against the people of Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine. We stand in solidarity with you and support your right to self-determination and sovereignty, your right to resist the U.S.-Israeli hegemonic war. We honor and mourn with you the lives of our brothers and sisters, our children, medical and humanitarian workers, our freedom fighters, and many more innocent people whose lives have been brutally taken from our world. Migrants in West Asia are also caught in the crossfire. The imperialist wars of aggression led by the US is endangering the lives, safety, and livelihood of more than 35 million migrants in the region, many of whom come from South and Southeast Asia, including sea-based migrant workers, thousands of whom remain stranded at sea. There are more than 2.4 million Filipino migrant workers in West Asia, and for the past 3 weeks, many have already lost their jobs, experienced wage cuts, have been abandoned by their employers, and are facing food insecurity. More than the fear of missiles and drones, migrant workers are afraid of their families starving and suffering if they will lose their jobs and have to return home. Already subjected to oppressive and exploitative working and living conditions, inhumane treatment and discrimination in their host countries, migrants are excluded from social and political protection, their rights and dignity constantly violated. They are treated as criminals and neglected by their home governments. And in times of war, conflict and crisis, these conditions worsen. Migrants are often shut out of access to aid, safety, and protection measures. Migrants are not only violently and systematically displaced by the wars and conflicts instigated by the US throughout the world, but by US imperialism imposing its neoliberal economic policies on the homelands of migrants, plundering our land and natural resources, violating the rights of our countries to full independence, genuine economic and political development, and exploiting our people as exported cheap labor. As grassroots migrants, we join the militant resistance of the people of Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine against US imperialism, the principal threat to genuine and just peace in the world. We are educating, organizing, and mobilizing migrants across Asia and the world to resist and expose the root causes of all US-led wars of aggression and intervention in all its forms, to protest the US war machine, to defend the rights of migrants and working peoples, and unite with all oppressed peoples of the world to advance our struggle for peace and against US imperialism. Comrades, let us flood the streets with our banners, our chants, our songs of resistance, our arms linked and fists held high. Uphold the right to resist of Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine. Down with US imperialism. Long live international solidarity.
Long live international solidarity. Thank you, Joanna, for those words. We know the plight of migrants, and the plight of migrants, especially in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, in these countries where the Zionists have their holds deep, and the Arab monarchies, the dictatorial Zionist Arab monarchies are really oppressive for years, for decades. We have known, and organizations like Migrante and other organizations have fought for the right and well-being, the dignity of migrant workers. So thank you, Joanna, for your words. So friends, Joanna was the last speaker from our region, Asia and the Pacific. While we had invited activists from Africa, but they were unable to join. And we are very sorry to have missed the opportunity to have African voices in our global rally today. But for the next time, we will make all possible endeavor to make sure that we have African brothers and sisters and comrades speaking. And there are many who stand with Palestine, with Lebanon, with Iran, and with our Latin American brothers and sisters, especially in Cuba and Venezuela. So we are almost at the end of our of this great rally, this online rally, and may there come a time when we have physical rallies, international solidarity rallies across the world, while we jubilantly are on the streets because we are victorious, that we have trampled imperialism and Zionism from this world. The Iranian people and the Islamic Revolutionary Government, with the spirit of the 1979 revolution and the resistance of the martyrs, continue their struggle against imperialism, defending their sovereignty, their land, and their dignity. The struggles that have been spoken here continue to fight the US military buildup in their lands and in our lands. And the US puppet regime that enables it, striking blows to US imperialism wherever there is resistance taking place. Together we build a united front against US-led war of aggressions on Iran and other imperialist wars and exploitation that US embarks in. So friends, it has been my honor to be a co-host with Victor, to be here. And this is online, but as one of our speakers said, we really need to be on the streets. And as Joanna just said, let us flood our streets. Let us storm our streets. Show our Zionist states, show our hypocritical states, show our puppet states who they are, and we bring them down. not only US imperialism has to be brought down, but these states who are, I call them agents, commission agents of imperialism, they also need to be taken down. So long live international solidarity. Let us take these actions to the streets, fight these imperialist butchers, and win solidarity, win liberation, win sovereignty for our people. Thank you so much.